What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to tonight's album review. This time we've got the 8th studio album by All Time Low, the pop punk veterans out of Baltimore, Maryland. This one is entitled Wake Up Sunshine. This is their second album on Fueled by Ramen, and of course it is the follow-up to 2017's Last Young Renegade, a very messy and abysmal album. I do think it yielded some solid cuts like the title track. Good Times was a sleeper hit for the band on Adult Top 40 Radio, and some of the other cuts like Dark Side of Your Room and Drugs and Candy worked in this more wintry, poppier, more explorative composition. It worked on those two tracks, but the rest of the album was just a mess. And it left me very nervous about where the band would go from there because this is, in terms of having to go to make what is considered a comeback album. This is not territory that's new to them. After the release of 2011's Dirty Work, which was it was very mixed in terms of the critical reception, and then they had to come back or return to form with 2012's Don't Panic, which I still think is their best album. Now, to be fair, I do like Dirty Work. I think it's a criminally underrated album. There's a lot of great songs in there, like Forget About It, Guts, Heroes, Time Bomb. I think it's a very underrated album, so I think it would be a bit unfair to consider Don't Panic a comeback, especially since they were only released about a year and a half apart. But nevertheless, that's what went down, and now they're back in this position again. An album that was definitely not indicative of what they can do, of their best work, Last Young Renegade, now having to come back and return to form. Thankfully, that's what they did with Wake Up Sunshine. I do feel like this is the band proving that they can make an album that's true to them and works their strengths on Fueled by Ramen. I feel like this is just my perspective. I feel like they might have been listening to the rumblings that Fueled by Ramen is where bands go to die in terms of what their core sound was and then what it becomes. I feel like if you're a band like Paramore, Panic at the Disco, and you've been on the label for a long time, I do feel like after a while you get a bit of seniority and a bit more creative freedom. But I feel like All Time Low, I feel like what Last Young Renegade ended up being was imposed on them. Definitely not indicative of their best work. Thankfully, Wake Up Sunshine is a return to form on all accounts. The lead-off single and album opener, Some Kind of Disaster, reminds us that the band can still write really great hooks laced with rollicking energy with the best of them. Jack Barricat's fiery riffs had me coming back so many times. I found myself singing along to air guitar. I can't play guitar for shit, but bear with me. Just doing the air guitar and just enjoying the hell out of this song. Melancholy Kaleidoscope. I cannot wait for, of course, when the world stops ending, of course. I cannot wait to roll the windows down and let the summery pop punk vibes of this song just funnel through my speakers and enjoy. I just couldn't get enough of this song, Getaway Green, which was a song they've been performing live for a while. That song is, I think, another slice of vintage All Time Low, lacing these more summery pop punk vibes. I wouldn't say Warped Tour. I feel like they've kind of graduated from that mindset at this point, but still, it's very pleasant and nostalgic lyricism, and of course the upbeat instrumental. I think other tracks like that follow suit elsewhere on the album. Trouble is a very shortcut, less than 2.5 minutes long, but it spares no expense with a very drum heavy intro. And again, it's another slice of vintage all time low in terms of marrying this upbeat composition with relatively nominally more melancholic lyrical content. Throughout the course of this band's career, they've done an incredible job at marrying those two. And Trouble is the next in a long line of songs that do just that. And then the title track, Wake Up Sunshine, is probably my favorite on here. I'm gonna be blunt with y'all. This song kind of changed my lease on life. I've been in a bit of a funk pretty much ever since this year started, and for good reason. But I feel like this song was a bit of a kick in the pants and a reminder that, it's going to be all right. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And then, as Alex emphatically repeats in the song "Somebody Loves You," it reminds you that there's someone out there that cares about you and cares about your well-being, wants you to be okay, that you're not alone. I'm being super cliched. I don't want to be too simplistic and reductionist about the interpretation of these lyrics, but that's the takeaway that I got. And then I love the lyrics on the intro. Alive in the age of outrage and outrageous behavior. And then again, Alice continues, "Are you living well in a living hell?" I just love that. Again, this is another sample of classic All Time Low. They're really good lyricists. I feel like criminally underrated in that category as well, and the production value works to their strengths as well. Again, these are not the young upstarts that sang songs like "Dear Maria, Count Me In," but they still know what works for them, and I'm so glad that all that came back on this album. Elsewhere, Sleeping In proves that the band can still work to their strengths and all the core hallmarks of their career while still being fun, fresh, and inventive. Glimpse has some nice 80s riffs. I concur the thoughts of some other people that review the album in terms of that interpretation of the song. And then the song Monster featuring Black Bear. I thought it was going to drop the ball. It didn't, thank God. And then there's other features on here like the band Camino and some other features on here that I thought would drop the ball. And then there are some songs there that conjure up Mark Hoppus reminders. Surprisingly, he's not on here either. And there are moments where I thought that they would drop the ball and that they would treat us to some Last Young Renegade B-sides, which that's a nightmare in and of itself to think about. Thankfully, they didn't do that. They keep it very fresh and unique and vibrant all throughout this album. And even the songs, as I just mentioned, that you think are going to take a bit of a left turn, thankfully they don't do that. And to summate, I'm just so impressed with how this album turned out. I was really nervous. I wouldn't say I was afraid, but I was nervous that this was gonna be a logical progression from Last Young Renegade. Thankfully, it's not. This is a return to form that the band needed, that I needed. I can't wait to funnel a lot of these bangers through my speakers all year long. This is definitely a wake-up call because, again, as I said, I've been in a bit of a funk this year so far, and thankfully, this seems to have transcended that in terms of the lasting impact some of these lyrics had on me. Again, I don't want to be too corny or cliched, but that's what happened, and I'm really enjoying this. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5. This is my album of the year so far. I'm really impressed with this album. Welcome back, All Time Low, and thank you for putting out some of your best work ever. Again, check out the title track, Melancholy Kaleidoscope, Getaway Green, and Some Kind of Disaster. Again, those are all promotional singles that preceded the release of the full album, but those are the four in particular that I'm going to highlight as songs, highlights that you must check out in particular. Of course, check out the rest of the album. There's 15 tracks in total here, and three of which were bonus songs that were released to kind of pacify people who might be, you know, longing for a physical release. Those are going to be delayed because the world is ending. But yeah, just please go check out this album, and thank you All Time Low for making it. It's a great album. Cannot wait to revisit these songs again and again. I needed this, and it's a reminder that pop punk's not dead. So, if you enjoyed this review, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified when I upload a new video, and I'll see y'all next time.